Have you ever had one of those quiet mornings where you wake up, make your cup of tea, sit by the window, and then ask yourself, so what now? The calendar's wide open. No meetings. No work deadlines. Just a stretch of time that once sounded like freedom but now feels a little uncertain. It's strange, isn't it? We spend most of our lives rushing, getting to work on time, raising a family, managing bills, thinking about what comes next. And then one day it all slows down. Suddenly we have time. But nobody tells us how to fill it in a way that truly feels meaningful. And here's the truth most people don't talk about. Retirement doesn't come with a guidebook. Sure, there are financial planners who help you save for it, but who helps you find purpose after the job ends and the kids are grown? That's what this conversation is about. Because finding purpose in this new chapter of life isn't just possible. It can be one of the most rewarding, soul-enriching things you've ever done. Not in a busy, overwhelming kind of way, but in a way that fills you up inside and makes you excited to wake up each morning. So let's talk heart to heart. In this video, I want to share 5 powerful, life-changing ideas that can help you rediscover your purpose after retirement. Not theories, not fluff. Just real, simple shifts that can open up a whole new world of joy, connection, and meaning. Let's start with something that surprises a lot of people. One of the biggest keys to feeling purposeful after retirement is actually hidden in something very ordinary. Routine. You might be thinking, wait, didn't I just spend 40 years stuck in a routine? Isn't this supposed to be my break? That's totally fair. But here's the twist. It's not about going back to rigid schedules or filling every hour. It's about creating gentle structure, a rhythm to your day that gives you direction without pressure. When we have no structure at all, our days can start to blend together. We stay up late, sleep in, skip breakfast, and then wonder why we feel off, like something's missing. But when you wake up with a light plan, maybe it's your morning walk, your 10-minute journal, or even just watering your plants, it sets the tone. It tells your mind and body, this day matters. And it really does. Even a small ritual like making your bed or listening to music while stretching can help you feel grounded. It's not about being productive, it's about being intentional. Giving yourself a gentle purpose, even in the tiniest things, can add a surprising amount of energy and joy to your day. Now, that brings me to something even deeper. If routine gives you direction, then connection gives you meaning. After retirement, many people quietly start feeling invisible. Your phone doesn't ring as much. You're not needed in the same way. And slowly, without realizing it, you start to feel like you're just drifting. But here's the beautiful thing. Connection isn't about being surrounded by people all day. It's about nurturing relationships that light you up. And yes, that can start with just one. Maybe it's rekindling an old friendship that faded over the years. Maybe it's joining a book club at the library or a walking group at the park. It could even be chatting with your barista or the neighbor across the fence. These moments, though small, have the power to lift your spirit more than you realize. And don't underestimate the joy of giving. Volunteering, even once a week, can shift your entire mindset. When someone looks you in the eye and says, "Thank you, I needed that," it reminds you that your presence still matters. That your time, your voice, your kindness, it still has impact. I once met a woman named Linda who told me she felt completely lost after retiring. Her husband had passed a few years earlier, and her days felt like an echo chamber. Then one day she signed up to read to children at the local library. Just once, she said, to try something new. A year later, she was there every Tuesday reading with a group of 6 kids who absolutely adored her. She said to me, "I didn't know how much I needed them until I saw how much they needed me." Purpose doesn't always show up in a grand, dramatic way. Sometimes, it starts with showing up once a week, being there for someone else, and slowly finding yourself again in the process. Now, if you're not sure where to start, that's completely okay. You don't have to have it all figured out. This chapter of life is about curiosity, not perfection. It's about trying things, seeing what sparks something in you, and being gentle with yourself as you explore. It might help to ask yourself a few simple questions. What did I love doing as a kid? What kind of people make me feel alive? If I had one free afternoon to do anything, no expectations, no judgments, what would I choose? Those questions can guide you back to the core of who you are, beyond titles and roles. So take a breath. You're not behind. You're not too old. You're not past your prime. You're simply at the beginning of a new season, one where you get to define what matters. Now that we've opened the door to this journey, through creating structure and rediscovering connection, let's keep going. There's something else that often gets overlooked, but can completely transform how you experience this stage of life. It's something you might not expect at first, but it has the power to awaken a sense of wonder you may not have felt since you were much younger. I'm talking about learning. Yes, even now. Especially now. There's a common misconception that learning is for the young, for students with backpacks and textbooks, racing from class to class. But the truth is, some of the most powerful learning happens after 60. Not because we're cramming for a test, but because we're finally free to explore what we want without pressure or deadlines. Think about it. What's something you've always been curious about? Maybe it's painting or gardening or playing the piano. Maybe you've wondered about history or poetry, or how to finally use that smartphone in a way that doesn't make you want to toss it out the window. Learning doesn't have to be formal or complicated. It just needs to make you feel alive. One man I spoke to, he's 72 now, told me he started taking online photography classes during the lockdown. He'd never picked up a real camera before, but something about capturing light and shadow, of seeing the world through a lens, made his days feel full again. Now he walks through the park almost daily, camera in hand, and says he's never looked at trees the same way again. That's the thing about learning. It opens your eyes. It reminds you that there's still so much wonder in the world, still so much you can do. And when you start to master something new, even just a little bit, it builds a quiet kind of confidence. A voice inside that says, "See? You're still growing. You're still becoming." And let's be honest, retirement can sometimes make us feel like we've reached the end of a story. But the truth is, you've just closed one chapter. The pages ahead are blank, waiting for your pen. Learning something new isn't just about gaining a skill, it's about writing a fresh line every day. Now, right alongside learning comes something equally powerful: creativity. You don't have to be an artist or a poet to live creatively. It's not about talent or perfection. It's about expression. About allowing what's inside of you to come out, whether through painting, dancing in your living room, singing while cooking, or writing that short story you've had in your head for years. There's a deep kind of healing that happens when we create. It doesn't matter if it's good. It matters that it's yours. That it came from your heart, your hands. That it made you feel something real. Creativity doesn't care how old you are. In fact, it often shows up more freely once we stop worrying about what other people think. And that's the gift of this stage in life. You've earned the right to create without apology. Without comparison. Just because it feels good. A friend of mine, Helen, started making hand-painted cards in her late 60s. At first, it was just for fun. Something to pass the time. But one day she sent one to her granddaughter, and that little girl lit up like Christmas morning. Now Helen runs a small online shop, sending her colorful, whimsical cards all over the country. She told me, "I never thought anyone would want what I made. But now I can't imagine not doing this." And maybe that's the real magic here. When we create something, anything, we're reminded that we still have a voice. That we can still add beauty to the world. That our stories, our hands, our hearts still matter. But here's something important to remember. Learning and creativity aren't about pressure. This isn't a to-do list. It's not about achieving or measuring success. It's about feeling curious, feeling inspired, feeling connected to something that's bigger than you, or deeper inside you than you realized. Because when you learn something new or create something beautiful, you're not just filling time. You're filling your soul. And that is where purpose begins to bloom. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need a big audience. You just need to follow that little spark, whatever it is, and trust that it's leading you somewhere meaningful. And speaking of trust, there's one more piece to all this that's absolutely essential. One that we don't always talk about enough, especially as we grow older. It's something deeply personal, yet universally powerful. And that is the idea of contribution. Not just helping others, but sharing a piece of yourself in a way that leaves a mark. Because purpose isn't just about what fills you. It's also about what flows from you, your wisdom, your love, your humor, your patience. Things you might take for granted, but others desperately need. Contribution doesn't have to be big or flashy. It could be mentoring a young person or writing letters to people who feel forgotten. It could be passing down family recipes, or teaching your grandchild how to fish or sew or ride a bike. These small moments, they carry weight. They build legacy. You might think, well, what do I really have to offer? But let me tell you, your life experience, your resilience, your perspective, it's gold. Younger generations are craving guidance, even if they don't always know how to ask for it. You have stories and lessons that can light the path for someone else. And when you realize that, it shifts everything. You start to walk with a little more purpose. You speak with a little more clarity. You begin to understand that this stage of life isn't about fading into the background. It's about stepping into a new kind of spotlight, one that shines from within. So take heart. Every small act of sharing, teaching, helping, it ripples out. And those ripples matter more than you know. Now, we've talked about creating structure, deepening connection, nurturing curiosity, expressing creativity, and offering contribution. These aren't tasks, they're invitations. Invitations to live fully, to live purposefully, to live presently. But there's still one more idea that brings all of this together, something gentle, yet incredibly powerful. It's the idea of presence. Now, I know that word gets thrown around a lot these days, be present, live in the moment, all that. But this is something deeper. It's about being fully here in your life just as it is right now. Because here's the quiet truth many of us don't learn until much later. You don't have to chase purpose. You don't have to hustle for it or earn it. Sometimes, purpose is what gently rises to meet you, when you slow down enough to notice. You've spent decades moving, building, helping, rushing. You've met deadlines, raised families, managed crises, carried the weight of others. But now there is space. And in that space, something beautiful can unfold, if you let it. Presence is the practice of being awake to your own life. It's hearing the birds outside your window and actually listening. It's watching sunlight fall across your kitchen table and letting it stop you for a moment. It's sitting with a friend or a partner or a child and really being with them, not distracted, not thinking about what's next, just here. And in those ordinary, quiet moments, something extraordinary happens. Gratitude blooms. Clarity returns. And purpose doesn't feel like something you have to find anymore. It feels like something you are. When you walk through your day with presence, you begin to realize that meaning isn't just in the big accomplishments. It's in the small gestures, the soft smiles, the acts of noticing. You notice the way your body still carries you even with its aches. You notice the way your hands still create, your eyes still search for beauty, your heart still feels so deeply. And you realize you're still very much alive. Not just existing but living. Presence doesn't require a plan or a schedule. It only asks for your attention. And that's the final gift you can give yourself in this chapter. The gift of truly being here. Because when you combine structure, connection, curiosity, creativity, contribution, and presence, what you get is not just purpose. You get peace. A deep, steady peace that says, I am right where I need to be. And that is enough. Now, maybe you're still wondering, but how do I start? What if I feel stuck? The answer is simple, though not always easy. You start small. Maybe you begin by writing down one thing you're grateful for each morning. Maybe you join a community center class or call an old friend you've been meaning to reach out to. Maybe you walk a different path on your morning stroll just to see what's there. Or maybe you just take 5 quiet minutes every day to breathe, to notice, and to say to yourself, this is my life. And it still matters. Because it does. You do. And if no one's told you this lately, let me be the one to say it. You are not past your prime. You are not too old. You are not forgotten. You are here. And there is still time. Time to feel joy. Time to make memories. Time to leave a mark. Not because you have to, but because you can. So let this be the moment you stop waiting and start living. Not in the shadow of who you used to be, but in the light of who you are becoming. You've got this. One breath. One step. One beautiful, purposeful day at a time. Thank you for spending your time here with me today. If this message spoke to you, please consider sharing it with someone you care about. And if you'd like more gentle encouragement like this, don't forget to subscribe. We're building a community here, a place where purpose and presence can grow together. Until next time, take good care. You are loved, and you're never, ever alone.